Welcome everyone to today's Wednesday webinar. Today, my name is Rebecca from CHAMPS, and today we're going to talk about hospital experiences with staff education. Just a reminder to mute your line by pressing *6, and you can unmute by pressing #6. And don't press hold because everyone will hear the hold music in the webinar. So today, presenting on staff education, we have Kathy from Princess Santa Rosa Hospital in New Braunfels, Texas, and then Michelle from Alaska Native Medical Center, and then Paula Hamilton from OCH Regional Medical Center. And before we get started, I just have a couple of quick CHAMPS announcements. The first one is the next Wednesday webinar. That will take place on December 14th, and we'll talk about hospital experiences with audit tools. And that will be the last one for the fall that we have scheduled, but we have some more coming up definitely in January, but maybe another one in December. But we'll keep you up to date on that on our website. The next CHAMPS announcement is just letting you guys know about our upcoming 4-hour clinical skills training. They're open to all CHAMPS hospitals. Our next one is tomorrow at Merit Health Batesville, and there's still spots open, so you can register on our website under the events page. And then we have one at Merit Health Wesley on November 16th. There's 2 dates at St. Tammany in Louisiana, and then on January 5th we'll have a training in Union County. Next week we have 2 conferences. The first one is the Systems Conference and on Monday, and that's the registration for that one is closed. That'll be a great conference about systems approach to baby friendly. And then we have our CHAMPS conference, which is on Thursday, which is open to all Mississippi and Tennessee CHAMPS hospitals and then community partners. And registration is still open, so please register if you are planning to attend. Okay, so our first presenter is Kathy Parks, and I'm going to give you the presenter privileges so you can advance your slides, if I can find you.
Okay.
Good job, Francis. Let's see. There's a lot of names on this one. Oh, I found you. Okay. You should be able to advance the slides in just a second.
I can see it. Thank you so much,
okay.
And I'm very honored to be part of this. And the exciting thing for me is to announce that Princess Santa Rosa in New Braunfels, Texas, is now the 18th baby-friendly hospital in Texas. We got the word about 3 weeks ago, and I'm very excited about that. So I want to talk to you a little bit about the things that we did to educate the staff. And I say we because we started out with 2 lactation consultants, and then about halfway through the pathways, we lost one. So it's been kind of my history here. And I'm not, let's see, I'm not getting an advancement here.
Is it up at the top? There should be an arrow.
I don't know why I'm being silly.
Nope, that's not it.
Because I didn't sleep much.
I need some help here. It's not advancing.
I can just advance them for you if you'd like.
Okay, that'd be fine. So next slide.
Right. Okay. Okay,
there
just
we
let
go.
me know when you want me to switch.
Okay, thanks, Rebecca. Princess Santa Rosa was previously McKenna Memorial Hospital, which was built in New Braunfels, Texas, multiple years ago. Started in the 50s, I believe. It was a not-for-profit, privately owned hospital, and about 7 years ago, we merged with the Christus Corporation, which is the only faith-based not-for-profit hospital system in the San Antonio area. In New Braunfels, we have a 132-bed full-service facility with state-of-the-art technology, lots of specialties. We are now a certified stroke center, a heart center. We're doing a lot of different things. So to add the baby friendly to what we do is amazing. New Braunfels itself is 32 miles northeast of San Antonio. It was settled in 1845, had been, when I first started there, a very, very small German town, very quiet, very bucolic, known for the river and lots of things that we do around the river. It is now a current population of 70,000 and the fastest growing local area in the nation. So I think things are going to change dramatically. So if you can click on that link, we'll watch just a very brief virtual tour of the hospital itself.
Okay, I'm going to, the way we can do this is I'm going to have an extra tab here, and then people can play it on their computer.
There it is. I see it.
You can see it. Okay.
It's got audio to it. Are you hearing the audio?
No, not
Everyone
yet.
has to hit play by them on their own. So if you have sound on your computer, you should be able to hear it.
Thankful to have the nurses and the electricians help us and the experience of the head. I've told a lot of people this. I think that the postpartum care.
Okay, was everyone able to watch it?
That was it. That was it. And I got to work with Carol with both of her babies, and you can advance to the next slide. Carol's baby was born, the first baby had a planned cesarean for a variety of reasons. The second one she was trying to birth with a nurse midwife in her home, and things kind of went bad, and she called me in a panic, and we were able to intervene and do skin-to-skin in an emergency cesarean. So it was really exciting. And then Carol became a spokesperson for the breastfeeding services at Christus. When I began there at Christus in New Braunfels in 2005, we had a centralized nursery, outside pediatricians with privileges. The care was completely separated. All the babies were lined up in the nursery. Hello, there we go. All the babies were lined up in the nursery. The docs came in between 7 and 9. No baby went out of the nursery, and I kind of went ballistic. Had to do it very gently to advocate for Q feedings, and that took a long time. 2009 was our merger with Christus itself, and we had a huge staff turnover at that time. So people who had been doing some things that even resembled baby-friendly left. We needed to train new staff. We brought in agency nurses who had no clue. 2008 is when we really began the baby-friendly hospital initiative work in earnest. We entered discovery phase in 2012, development phase in 2013, dissemination in 14, and designation in 15. And it took a year and a half to receive the designation as a baby-friendly hospital. Next slide. Staff education was, as you all know, met with great resistance. That began as soon as I arrived in 2005, where I was labeled with some of the things that I'm sure some of you have heard too, that I will not repeat because I find them offensive. But my personal way of teaching is to be very gentle, build trust with the staff, provide tons of research, and to remember that any change is difficult and there's always resistance. And there are steps. If you study the change process, there are steps to that. Some of the things that I did was to provide demonstration, pull the staff into the patient that they had just referred to me instead of them doing it, and helped them to do it. I placed appropriate journal articles in a variety of locations, including the bathroom, which we all know is the best reading place in the hospital. Did break room in-services weekly in writing with a notebook. Invitations to every nurse who wanted more hands-on experience. And then judicious choices in introducing changes. My general view is start with the easiest thing first. So we started with skin-to-skin after a vaginal, normal, healthy delivery, and we went from there. Then I found a staff member who was almost there, who had the right intentions, the passion, and groomed her. And then peer pressure works. We know that. Next slide. It's not easy. And I feel kind of like this lady, grayer and older in all of this process. But we spent a lot of time looking at the outside education providers. We looked at HealthStream, which we now do all of our breastfeeding education for the entire system on HealthStream. We looked at multiple providers of education for just the staff, so the 20 hours of nurses, the 3 hours of physicians, 4 hours of ancillary staff, and we chose Step 2 education because of the quality of their education. Price was a little bit of a factor, but we really wanted quality, and we wanted the research behind it, we wanted the clinical application to it, and the package of services that they provided was much better than anything else out there. And then I drew up a plan for the one-on-one education, which is now provided to every new employee, every new associate who comes into the CHRISTUS system. Next slide. This is a picture before and after. It was amazing to me to see staff members who were won over by me not having to do anything. I remember the first nurse who came in when we still had a nursery that looks like that before picture, who said the baby crawled up and latched on and I didn't have to do anything. She was our best champion because she got to see that and got to be a part of it, and it made all the difference in the world. When we started to do education for skin-to-skin in a surgical delivery, I went to the nurse anesthetist first and won them over, and then they are our biggest advocates now because it keeps the mom calmer, releases all those good endorphins. We know that that makes a difference. Next slide. What worked? I always teach with humor. Gentle persistence worked, multiple sources. I may have said XYZ for years and years, but when they heard it from someone else with credentials, then, oh my goodness, it was gospel. So tried to provide a lot of different sources. We brought in guest speakers, all kinds of things, and then various presentation styles. I have a master's in nursing education, so I have a lot of information and experience with the way that people learn, the way that adults learn. and used a lot of different presentation styles. And then again, peer pressure works. What didn't work or what made for bigger hurdles, I did not have dedicated hours specifically for baby friendly. So when I was working a 32 or a 40-hour week, I see as the lone lactation consultant every patient in the hospital that has anything to do with breastfeeding. I also ran the classes. I also did just a lot of other things, the outpatient clinic, so pump rentals and sales, consults. Baby Friendly kind of came into all of that, and as you all know, that's a very time-consuming part of your practice. I didn't let someone else run the show, and boy, would I change that. It became my windmill to tilt, and I felt that I needed to kind of have a hand in everything. I've gotten over that very quickly. The more people you can involve, the more people who can do the work, the better. We had a big, strong breastfeeding committee, but because of the long number of years of working on this, they fell away very quickly. We had huge opposition by physicians, and then one of the managers on the unit used punishment, so to speak, writing people up if they did something that went against the baby-friendly processes, and I found that that was definitely not helpful. And the last slide, our next steps. Boy, you cannot rest on your laurels. Just because you've gotten baby-friendly status, I am already finding that you can't drop the ball. You've got to keep everybody excited and moving for the next step. So comfort is the enemy of achievement, and sitting back and just gloating in our status is not going to be helpful. So what we're doing is working on the annual project improvement projects, and I've already pulled in the PI, QI people at the hospital. They're going to be in charge of those. We're working on NEO-BSI, getting our NICU. We have a level 2 8-bed NICU, and working on that, growing the breastfeeding services program. We're including an IBCLC on the perinatal loss program because we know that those moms, anybody after 12 weeks postpartum, has the potential for milk production. And so getting that care in on the perinatal loss committee. I'm currently working with all of the IBCLCs in the CRISPR system, and that's across Texas, Louisiana, New Mexico, all the U.S.-based hospitals in working toward the same charting system for baby-friendly, getting all of our policies to match up across the entire corporate system. So a couple more windmills to tilt, but education is probably the most beneficial thing you can do. That's my presentation.
Thank you, Kathy. I think we'll take questions at the end. So we'll just move on to our next presenter, who is Michelle from Alaska Native Medical Center. Michelle, I'm going to try passing you the presenter privileges to see if you can advance the slides.
Okay. Well, my name is Michelle Cheetah. I'm a nurse midwife and lactation consultant. I run the lactation program and the Baby Friendly Hospital Initiative at our hospital. The Alaska Native Medical Center is a tribal-run hospital, so it serves Alaska Native peoples. We're a pretty unique system. We work as a referral site for all of Alaska, and all of our providers are staffed in-house, so we don't have any people getting privileges from the community. And we've had a long tradition of having midwifery care at our facility, so for at least 30 years, we've had midwives doing deliveries, and right now 85% of our vaginal deliveries are done by nurse midwives. So many of the steps within Baby Friendly are not new or challenging for us, but it's more about implementing small changes, and then we had a lot of education needs for our staff as far as breastfeeding goes. So, you know, this is just a brief overview of what the training requirements for Baby Friendly are. I'm sure most of you know or have looked at these. With the new updates to Baby Friendly Hospital Initiative Guidelines and Criteria this year, they did add on some additional personnel who they kind of spelled it out a little bit more what training those people would need. So when we thought about doing training, the first thing we kind of did was a pros and cons of how we wanted to do our education. And we kind of thought about either developing our own course or doing a web-based course. And these are kind of the things that we came up with. So for the pros, you know, we thought better retention of materials, we could incorporate some of the hands-on training into the class, and then be specific to the patient population. And for us, those pros really won out. Any of the pros or cons on the other side because of our unique patient population. And then for us, the change to providing breastfeeding support was a big culture change for our facility, and we just thought people would need it, would retain the information better. We, you know, expenses on the cons on both sides. For us, we're kind of in a unique situation where my position is paid for by another organization, so it doesn't actually cause an expense for the hospital. But for most people, it is pretty costly to develop your own course. You have to pay for not only the trainer's time, potentially paying for supplies, you know, and also the nursing staff time, which is huge. So what we decided was to make a course, and I'm the one that made the course. And what I did was, first of all, I looked at the World Health Organization's guide, which they have this pretty thick guide that's available online. There's a link to it that kind of walks you through step-by-step exactly how to develop and give the course. The one downside with their guide is it's not developed. It's not really made for the developed world. It's really meant to kind of deliver out in Africa. So it's not set up to be on projectors. So that part's a challenge with that. I also did take the Healthy Children's Project, Learn to Teach, a 20-hour course, and we purchased their materials as well. We didn't actually end up using those materials much in designing the training, but the class, if you've never taught a class or developed a class before, could potentially be pretty helpful for people. I had already been involved in developing a computer training program before doing this, so I had some idea of what I was getting myself into, but not fully maybe grasping what I was getting myself into. So video resources, you know, the content you'll find in the World Health Organization's guide, but video resources and pictures can be a little bit trickier. Global Health Media was an invaluable resource. We use Stanford Medicine. Breastfeeding Inc., which is Jack Newman's website, has a lot of free videos you can use. The Magical Hour, Saving Brains, and Medila's website were all the videos we used for our course, and we were able to find plenty of videos. Some of them were purchased, but most of them were free. And then as far as picture resources go, Who had some resources that we used. Medila had some. Global Health Media, they were just like fantastic to work with. They'll give you any of their images you want. You just have to email them, and I've never been told no. The United States Breastfeeding Committee Photo Project has a bunch of photos, and that's what that picture is there. It came from their website, but there's plenty of pictures to choose from there. So as far as implementing goes, so once you actually develop the course, which I did most of the material myself, and if I just had to take a guess, it took me maybe 3 weeks of actually just writing the content, and then I had somebody who was able to help me make presentation packets and put the materials together at my facility, so I didn't actually have to do that part. And this is a really ongoing, time-consuming process if you do your own course. You know, there's so many steps to think about, and I don't have any administrative help, so I end up doing most of this myself, or I end up doing almost all of it myself. So, you know, months before, you need to think about room reservations, scheduling employees into the course, which for labor and delivery is always a challenge. At our facility, we don't have a ton of extra staffing, so it's not uncommon that the day of the course, somebody will get pulled out of the course to help with staffing, thinking about CME applications. You know, week before the course, you need to make sure everybody has an invite and send an email about where to go. You need to print out education materials, make sure you have your CME certificates, sign-in sheets, evaluation, a sign-up calendar for clinical competency checkoffs. We usually provide breakfast, so we're organizing that as well. The day before, you know, just making sure the room's ready, the audio and video is set up so that you can get started on time. And then just the day of, being early, make sure things are going well. And then the day after, you have to kind of wrap things up with turning in evals. So it's a lot of work. And also just taking 2 days out of your clinical schedule can be challenging as well. So that's definitely something to keep in mind. And I teach the class with one other person, and we are the primary instructors, and we have had somebody sub out for that other person, but we do it on a monthly basis. So I pretty much, for the entire year of 2016, committed myself to being available on the third Tuesday and Wednesday of each month to make this class happen. For hands-on experience, how we've done that is we do the 15-hour course and 1 hour of that, and then we have 1 additional hour, so it's a 16-hour day. We do a skills check-off, and then they spend a half day following the other IBCLC that teaches the class with me. She does her inpatient rounds, and they check them off that way. When we started implementing our training, we weren't yet in the dissemination phase. When we developed the class, we weren't really sure if we were going to go for baby-friendly designation or not. So as far as the clinical competency checklist that I used, we pulled something from Kaiser's toolkit that I found online just to use that. And but since then, as of last week, we've progressed into dissemination phase, so there's actually a checkoff tool that you can use there. And then, you know, those other providers, since those are new, how we're going to capture those. So our OB, our maternity providers at Privileges on the unit, they all went through a 3-hour course, and the process of developing that course is pretty similar to the nurses course. It's just shorter. The other providers, we're going to do like a video that we make and put up on HealthStream, and that they just get checked off and they'll be tracked for us. So kind of the big lessons learned from doing this is that it's going to take so much longer than you think it will. And again, I had actually developed a class curriculum before this, and it was way more work than I anticipated. And it's a lot of work. It's really hard. It's pretty tiring. You would want to get somebody to help you as much as you can with the training. I don't think I could have managed everything if I didn't have a co-presenter with me. And then just remembering that change is really hard. So we've done a great job of implementing the training, and our nurses, you know, are in the change process, and we're in the action phase. We get a lot of resistors at the start of the class, but we haven't really had somebody who hasn't come around and it kind of acknowledge that maybe they need to change their practice, and people are really excited by the end of the class. And then they get back and they start making some changes, but definitely we're having some relapses. We're in that maintenance phase, but things are going so much better, and it really has made a huge difference for us on our unit.
Thank you,
That's
Michelle.
it.
Okay, our next presenter is Paula Hamilton from OCH. And Paula, I'm going to try to give you the presenter privileges right now. Okay. Paula, are you able to change the slides at the top? Oh, maybe you're muted.
Well, wait a minute. Let me see if this does it.
Oh, I can hear you now, Paula.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, there we go.
Yes, I can change. I can change.
Okay, perfect.
Hello, everybody. Like they were saying, my name is Paula Hamilton, and it's good to be with you today. At our facility this past year, October 1st, 2015 through September 30th, 2016, our year just ended, we had 947 deliveries. OCH Regional Medical Center is a licensed 96-bed acute care facility on a 20-acre site in Starkville, Mississippi. We are a college town. We're really excited. MSU Bulldogs, Woot Woot. The big thing, we also have 9 freestanding clinics and several other buildings that we own around our campus. In 1973, the hospital named the hospital Ottawa County Hospital, and of course that's an Indian name, as you all know. And in 2007, the Board of Trustees really thought, because of the strategic plan, that to better focus and convey our geographic area, that we should actually think about changing our facility name. So at this particular time in 2010, our board voted to doing business as our facility is now named OCH Regional Medical Center. Hence, we kept the part with Ottawa County Hospital, I know, those initials, and we are doing business as, but our legal name is still Ottawa County Hospital, but we do business as OCH Regional Medical Center. One thing that was really helpful when I started doing this presentation is I was really excited that our hospital just completed, and it's on our website. You can visit our website at www.och.org, and you can look at our Community Health Needs Assessment report that was just completed, and it's on the website. It was done on September 26th of this year. And in the area that we service, there's 177,387 people. You can see the different areas that we service. We actually service Ottawa County and Choctaw County, Clay County, Lowndes, Knoxville, Webster, and Winston. And if you'll notice our age ranges, when you looked at that, the reason the age is so young in Ottawa County that it has for is because of the MSU campus. We service a lot of students. And you can look at our breakdown as far as our specific race and whether we're Hispanic or not. You can see the different breakdown there. I thought that was very interesting to be able to have a place to go and look for all that, to see who we were servicing. The big thing with staff implementation is that we used the Mississippi Nurses Foundation. We did the CEUs for there. I created the program. It's a 20-hour course. I took the guidelines and evaluation criteria from the Baby Friendly website and went straight down by what they said that was required, and I added some things in, kind of some interesting things to make it fun. For instance, I don't know if you've ever heard of visual imagery stimulation. That's the particular pathway that's being used in core curriculum across the United States, and like medical schools and different schools and colleges, to help healthcare providers and students be more descriptive in their writing and in their charting. And so we talk about that in my class. That's kind of an icebreaker type thing that we do in class. We also, most of our training has been done through the Mississippi Nurses Foundation so far, and that is very time consuming. I know what the other ladies were talking about. I developed that, and it does take a long time. You have to get everything ready, just like that's already said before. I had to do all those fun things. And yes, it was just me, and it would be nice, I know, but with staffing, it just, it ends up being a lot of times one person doing a lot of the education as far as like the regular 20-hour course and then the checkoffs and stuff. Lactation Education Resources is the other area that will be used. That's the other specific
company that we'll be using for our education. We do a lot of role plays, and that's one thing that has really helped. I think that it's helped the nurses to be able to sit down in a controlled environment and to be able to play the nurse, and you know, obviously they are nurses, but to play the nurse, be the mom, and then have an observer and critique each other, and I think that's really helped them, and they said that they enjoyed that part. We had them do everybody's watched, of course, the hand expression video, and in order, you know, to get your belly bead, and that's kind of something that's been done before, I know. I took the 20-millimeter wooden beads from Hobby Lobby, and they have a big hole in them, so I had to use parachute cord to go through there, and they thought those were really neat. And that was one of the things that they talked about that being noteworthy with D&D. That's who accredits our facility came and visited us. So we're really excited and proud that we've been doing that, and our staff has enjoyed that. They kind of like having things like that. So little rewards and things like that do happen. Having things for them to use in their teaching has definitely helped them, they feel like. So I'm trying to think of more creative things to do with them. We do a lot of reading signs, body training, like it's been said before also. The biggest thing is that in our process, nobody really did much skin to skin, and nobody really did much rooming in. We had rooming in as long as someone was awake. At our facility, we don't have a infant security system that beeps when the infant's taken off the unit, and that's what we're in the process of right now, that the board approved that. We're just trying to decide what the best way to do that is. We haven't decided yet if we're going to do the total lockdown or if we're going to have instigate just the other systems that I mentioned a few minutes ago. But what really worked best is that we have had a lot of support from hospital and nursing administration to move forward. And, you know, the nursing stakeholders and team meetings and unit meeting discussions have really been helpful because it's let me know each specific nurse really and truly had a different concern. And I was really amazed at that. They all had different concerns about, you know, if we do skin to skin, you know, some were concerned about safety, some were concerned about, you know, I want to be able to clean the baby off, mom's going to let the baby clean before they hold the baby. So there's been a lot of things that we've talked about, and I think that some of the nurses were even afraid, well, I'm going to be doing my best for this on the baby and checking for hip displacement and different things, congenital stuff, and the mothers are really going to be upset because you're going to think I'm hurting your baby. And I think really after we have those unit meetings and team discussions and stuff, that they feel a lot better now, and they realize that actually doing the teaching at the bedside is making the mothers more confident, and they're understanding better what's going on. So kind of moving on, what would we do differently? I think the big thing and what we're going through right now is that because of all the articles that came out in JAMA and the different scientific magazines that are research-based and stuff these days, especially in JAMA this past month, we're looking at doing the RAP training and the charting implementation as far as the skin-to-skin goes. That's in the chart, but we're going to put safety checklist in the chart. That's what we're working on now. And basically, we don't have a true start date for true rooming in as yet, but we have piloted that a lot with several patients. We've had a lot of Plan B check-out experiences, and we've learned things from that. We realized that with their cesarean section moms that they even mentioned, I even had one mom say that she sure really hated to, you know, mess up my trials, and she called them my trials, Paula's trials, and, you know, and I really had to, you know, talk with her and let her understand that this is all for her, and it's not for Paula, and it's not for, you know, it's to make healthcare better for all moms that are breastfeeding. And I think that, you know, that's kind of hard sometimes, and that's what we've realized in doing our training and working toward bringing in. It's been hard, especially with the cesarean section moms, but that's getting better. As far as the next step goes, we're going to do on our internet, we're going to have mandatory training for the staff, and our doctors are going to use the 3-hour course that is from, I believe it's Massachusetts.gov toolkit that's on there. They're going to be using that particular training is what they're going to do online. And I've been looking at the scripting tools, and I noticed that the lady in front of me from Alaska, she had talked about using the Kaiser toolkit. And in that Kaiser toolkit, they do have scripting tools, which are very good, and I've used some of those. I've taken from that, some of that stuff that they've done, and added on things according to what my nurses wanted us to say, and we are kind of working on that now. We're not totally finished, but we're working on scripts right now, and we're working on the RAP assessment. And the big thing tomorrow, our perinatal committee meets, and they're going to decide exactly how we're going to implement this respiratory activity perfusion and positioning too. They're going to decide exactly what kind of safety measures that we're going to go forward with and have in our medical record. We haven't really had the safety measures in our medical record as such yet, and that's what we're fixing to put in our medical record and work on doing that with IPS. And then also the newborn follow-up shadow clinic requirement, we're fixing to start implementing that. I'd actually thought we were already starting to do that, and I had just not realized that it wasn't being done as much as we needed to. I thought, too, that Susan Colson has that article, Does the Mother's Posture Have a Protective Role to Play During Skin-to-Skin Contact? And in that particular research article, if I remember correctly, they have also this state positioning that's done with a kangaroo care checklist. But they also have a picture of a dad that took a picture of his child that actually had sudden, unexpected postnatal collapse. And that's a really big concern right now with my perinatal committee, and that's what we're meeting to talk about tomorrow. And like I said, that's been kind of fueled by all the different articles that have came out over the last few months and in the last year. So that's kind of where we are, and we're moving on. We have a long ways to go, but we've got a lot done, and we're real proud of it. And our breastfeeding rates have increased, and like I said, our infant scores did come up. We just got our scores, and they did come up from what they had been before. We weren't quite at the national average, but we almost made it, and we're real excited and moving forward, and we're still in the developmental phase. Hopefully we'll be moving soon to dissemination, and I won't know about that until after we have the perinatal care committee meeting tomorrow at lunch. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Paula. I had a couple of questions that were submitted on the chat.
Okay.
Yeah, Kathy was asking Paula if you could name the visual teaching again.
Wait, I can't hear you.
Somebody asked if you could name what the visual stimulation teaching was called.
What? Wait, I'm sorry, I couldn't hear what you said. Go ahead again.
Could you repeat the name of the visual stimulation teaching?
For some reason, you're breaking up right now, and I can't understand you.
If you will,
okay.
Am I live? There we go. I'm on.
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Paula, it's Kathy Parks. Can you name that visual stimulation teaching again?
Yeah, it's called Visual Imagery Stimulation. It's called VIS. And if you'll go to the New York Times, they do it during the school year, and they use it with students. They do it through their publication, and they'll say, like, well, what do you see in this picture? Have you ever heard of that? And they're using that and they're using that in core curriculum across the United States. And one thing that I found is that, like, I'll just pick out a piece of art, and I'll have them describe it to me. I'll say, well, I'll ask those 3 questions. So go to that, just Google visual imagery simulation, and it's really, really good, and it helps to improve observation skills and helps to improve the way nurses charge. And it's been proven through medical school. Right, and so that's something that I've implemented that's kind of been a little bit of an icebreaker, like I was saying, and it works really well. And it helps them be more descriptive. You do have to pick out pictures, but you'll have to be careful about what you pick out. Sometimes if you pick out something that's kind of plain, and I will tell you that through my experience with that, is that I had one group of nurses that they just went, like, totally, they were so explicit. And then I had one group, I showed them the same picture, and they just kind of sat there. So sometimes you have to you kind of have to help them. It's kind of like they think there's a wrong answer, but there's no wrong answer. That's why it works so well, is because there's no wrong answer. And that's why they're using it in schools for children that don't excel. They can excel in that, and then that gives them confidence to build. And then, of course, obviously, if you have better observation skills, then you can write better, be more descriptive in your writing, and then therefore, hopefully your vocabulary will improve, and then your reading will improve, and then you'll have that better quality of life. And that's what I, tell my nurses, that show them a picture like cars going down a road, okay, and then flash the picture back off and say how many cars were read, how many people really were paying attention. So that's kind of been some fun things that I've implemented that has helped them to be more aware that they need to be more descriptive in their charting.
Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. I think you'll really enjoy learning about that.
Are there any other questions that were submitted on the chat? Anyone else want to ask any of the presenters anything?
Will the presentation be shared with us?
Yeah, I'll have the recording of the webinar uploaded to our website this afternoon. The slides are already up there.
Okay.
So there'll be like a YouTube video up this afternoon.
Great.
Yeah.
And I think if you just go to the CHIP website, that if you click on where the upcoming webinars are, that's how I got to it before, to look at past webinars.
Okay.
I just went to the CHAMPS website and the CHAMPS spreadsheeting website, and then it talks about the upcoming webinars, and you click on those different ones, because I've been able to go there and click on the ones I wanted to look at, and then it would take me there, and I would be able to watch them.
Very good. Thank you for the information.
You're welcome.
We have other questions in the chat. Somebody was asking Kathy, she said, how did you get your doctors to complete the 3-hour course if they were community pediatricians?
Okay. Well, what
are you? Go ahead.
Okay. What happened is when we closed our centralized nursery, we went with a group called Pediatrics with an X, and they provide neonatologists and certified nurse practitioners to come in and do all in-hospital infant exams and the care for the baby. So our pediatricians would then only do post-discharge care. Because pediatrics is a contract system, they are not required. However, our head neonatologist was the first to take and complete the education and then became the champion. The only people, according to Baby Friendly, who are obligated to complete the education are those within the hospital system itself, so those that are paid by the hospital. And we only had 2 of those. We did have some OBs who took it. We did have some family practitioners who took it. We still have some opposition, but I'll tell you what, the thanks by the mothers to the physicians for allowing this to take place, the skin to skin, the uninterrupted time together, that golden hour, that's what's changing it. So it's coming from public demand.
We had another question on the chat for Michelle. She was asking where you found that checkoff tool.
Can you repeat the question?
There was a checkoff tool that you had on your presentation. Can you repeat what you asked? I'm very interested in that.
Yeah, so for the competency skills competency checkoff, we initially used one that we found online through Kaiser. If you just, there's a link to it on the page on the slide with what we use, and it's towards the back of it.
That's the same one that I was talking about earlier that they used, that you can also get examples of scripting tools are in that toolkit also.
Mentioned that they've instituted the RAP tool. Charting getting into starting. Jacqueline, do you want to talk about that?
I couldn't hear.
Yeah, Rebecca, you're breaking up really bad.
I couldn't hear. I apologize. There was something asked about the RAP assessment.
Yes, somebody said that they had instituted it and they were going to share about that. I'm not sure if they're still.
Oh, okay. Okay, who had done that?
It says Jacqueline. Is Jacqueline on?
Okay.
They asked the question about the RAP tool. Maybe they're not on anymore. Does anyone else have any questions?
I got it right here. Because we got that interview coming in too.
What was the question? They had a question about the RAP tool, or they implemented it?
It said they had implemented it.
Okay.
But
that's
I'm not sure
what we're going to talk about.
It doesn't sound. Well, go ahead.
Okay.
Any other questions? Can you still hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now.
If there aren't any other questions, I guess we can wrap it up since we're almost to the end of the hour. The next webinar will be on December 14th about the audit tools. And like we said before, we'll have the recording of the webinar on the CHAMPS website on the webinars page, along with all of our other previous webinars. You can access those with the link on that page. So if there's no other questions, thank you everyone for joining, and thank you to our presenters. That was a great information that you all shared today, and we look forward to our next webinar. Thanks, everyone.